This Dean is awesome. You have to go to a hotel bed to treat a female star. He got the stem cells illegally into the body of the star. It keeps him young. The woman warned him. As soon as the star closed her eyes, the Dean smiled. He took off the angelic dress he was wearing, revealing the devil's leather. This is how female celebrities get cheated, but the Dean doesn't know that yet. Inside the air ducts at this point, a camera was pointing at him. It turned out to be a giant. Shaw Strains is a paparazzi of the Department of News. It was such a great story this time. The leader was very satisfied with him, said he could get a promotion this time, but he doesn't know that yet. How much trouble I've gotten myself into. Wait until the next day. Shaw Strain came to the hospital, because his daughter is in the hospital here. The wife was delighted to see them. He said the director of the other hospital just called. Offered to do their daughter's surgery for free. And it has a 90% chance of cure. Said to listen for the Dean's name. Isn't that the Dean you photographed last night? He hasn't had time to react. The Dean called. It turns out the Dean already knew he'd taken his picture. The Dean told him if he could just delete those photos, he can save his daughter's life for free. After hanging up the phone, Giant Strains immediately called the leader, asked if he leaked the information. When the leader learned that the Dean knew about the shooting, he let Big Strains immediately ready to expose. Because the Dean isn't just involved in assault, it also involved the injection of illegal stem cells. Those stem cells kill countless unborn babies. His wife came over just after he hung up the phone. His wife heard him on the phone. He let the Strain and Dean compromise. It's the only way to save their daughter. But what kind of person does the Dean know? There's no way he'd save his daughter. Son as a full-time reporter. I had to expose him. The next day the Dean was at home watching the news. At this time, Shaw-Chu has already exposed the photo. The star and the Dean. It instantly became a hot topic in Korea. The Dean's calling everywhere for help. Because this is a big deal. And at this time, Cho Xian is still a small reporter. The other reporters were laughing at him. Never took the news out of hand. But suddenly the Dean called him. Said he was gonna give him an exclusive hit. He called Soo-Hyun to the hotel. The Dean gave him a note. Said to give this note to the female star Tsai-bin. He'll give you an exclusive interview. Xiao Xian know Dean is a scum. Also know this note is Dean threat Color Bin use. But he still took the note to find Color Bin, because this is his chance to turn himself around. At this time in the company of Shorozhu, he has been promoted by the leader. It's a big hit with this story. But suddenly there was an emergency news broadcast on TV. Female star Color Bin was Xiao Xian exclusive interview. Cai Bin told everyone at a press conference. Dean does not exist to violate himself because she's the Dean's girlfriend. That's a normal interaction between two people. Chow Wen will give you 30 million. It's only 9 bottles, 2 dead and 1 dead. Big Strains watching the news. He knew this woman was faking it. She's lying. At the same time, he knew he was finished. Just in Color Bin said Dean is wronged. Suddenly someone in Color Bin ear said what words. Color Bin after listening directly fainted. And at the same time, all the reporters got a text message. Turns out the Dean killed himself. Everyone was in shock. Shaw was soon taken away by the police. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. His wife and daughter are nowhere to be found when he gets out. Suk-Ju drinks wine every day. Even drink alcohol liver. My hands shake when I don't drink. Until that day on the train met Xiao Xian. At this time, Xiao Xian is already the most ox reporter in South Korea. He took some pictures for Soo-Hyun in return. Soo-Hyun will help him find his wife and daughter. After taking photos, he came to Xiao Xian's company. Everyone thought he'd lost it. After all, heavy strain was Woo-er to catch, but Shu-Chu untied the ties on his legs and removed the nail from the wound. Turns out he hid the memory card in his wound. That's pretty harsh. To find his wife and daughter, is Soju daring to do anything? He gave the memory card to Soo-Hyun. In return, Soo-Hyun gave him the address of his wife and daughter and gave him some money. After we get the address, Shu-Chu took out a wad of money. That's Woo-Erfen for him. Let Xiao Xian transfer the money to Woo-Erfen. Then he would leave. But Soo-Hyun wants to keep him working here. Giant Strain refused on the spot. Then he went to the toy store to buy some presents for his daughter. I cleaned myself up. Because he's going to see his wife and daughter. And at this time, Xiao Xian came to Woo-Erfen company. Woo-Erfen thought he was photographed. They all asked for it. He didn't realize that Soo-Hyun had all the photos. Also to Xiao Xian constantly sarcastic. But Xiao Xian directly let the assistant take out the photo. Woo-Erfen was blindsided on the spot. He knew his life was going to end. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask my brother to step on the sewing machine. Wait till evening. Shaw Strain came to the place where his wife and daughter now live. But a neighbor told him the family was supposed to be in the hospital because his daughter's illness flared up again. The Strain hurriedly came to the hospital. After asking the nurse, he found his daughter's room. Shu-Chu saw outside the ward. There was a man by the daughter's bed and his daughter St. Grace. Already a big girl. His daughter was less than a year old when he went to prison. Grace came out of the ward. He came to the hospital chapel. Sitting there silently praying. The giant tree also followed in. Sung-Eun didn't know him. He asked him when he saw Suk-Ju. As they were talking, Grace suddenly collapsed and his condition worsened. Shaw hurriedly carried him back to the ward. The wife and incumbent rushed over. The big tree hid itself. He listened to his wife cry. Shaw-Chu felt very powerless. He was rescued by doctors. I finally got the Grace back from the hands of death. But the doctor told them, Grace now has to replace the heart. If we wait any longer, we'll die. But I don't know how long it's gonna take. Besides, they don't have any money anymore. The wife found out later through the nurse. It was Soju who brought her Giant Strain. He bought several bottles of wine after he left. Now he can only use alcohol to numb himself. After drinking, he went back to the hobo show. He's been living here since he got out of prison. He was drunk. But suddenly the van picked him up at the asylum. When he woke up, he found himself in a room. It turns out Soo-hyun brought him here. Soo-hyun wants to cure his alcoholic liver, to wean him off alcohol. Become a team with yourself in the future. They shoot people who do bad things. Big event because Shozyan know the ability of big strains. And I know he needs the money right now. Only Soju can save his own daughter now.